Assalamu alaikum, program Perspectives, and I'm your host Ghulam Nabi Morai. As usual, Syed Mohibullah, Shah, an analyst, writer, and an intellectual, is with us. Shah Sahab, Assalamu alaikum. Shah Sahab, in this program we discuss in depth the subject and the topic from various perspectives. Now, today's topic is Keti Bunder. Must be surprise for so many people. Keti Bunder. Now, first of all, I would like to ask you first question is that you are the pioneer in establishing the Board of Investment. Now, what was the need for establishing the Board of Investment?
The Board of Investment I established in 1989. Prior to that,
you were it was People's Party's government, Benazir government, and you were also
with Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto Sahib. Prior to that, Pakistan's economic strategy was all based on loan. In 1952, Planning Commission started. There was an aid to Pakistan consortium of some rich countries, and the Planning Commission used to prepare the projects, and they would go to the aid to Pakistan consortium in Paris for a meeting and presenting them the project, and they will approve some loan. But the loan has an interest. So if, for instance, Pakistan was receiving, say, $1.5 billion in loan, then the repayment of loan along with interest may be about more than 50%. So even though on paper, Pakistan was receiving, say, $1.25 billion, actually, say $700 or $800 million were deducted because of loan repayment along with interest, and the net money coming into Pakistan for development was only $700 or $600 or $800 million. And then the loan was, you have to pay interest on that. So when I was studying in MIT, then I specialized in the foreign direct investment, because I realized that for Pakistan's development, if Pakistan does not give priority to private investment as the main vehicle for its development, Pakistan will never prosper. The reason is that in the total world, 70% of the wealth is controlled in private sector, and only 30% is with the governments, all the governments. So Pakistan had only been talking to governments for loan, and it had no platform, no forum through which it can talk and attract private investment. Now, with that knowledge, which I acquired from my studies at MIT, then when I met Prime Minister Benazir Sahib, I made this presentation to her that this is a very important thing, and there is a vacuum in Pakistan. So unless we have a proper forum, Board of Investment, and we develop pro-investment policies, investment will not come, and this is very important. Otherwise, Pakistan will not develop. And so I made a presentation to the cabinet, and it was approved, and the Board of Investment was established. Then the next part was that it was so difficult in those days. There were about 12 to 15 obstacles. If anyone wanted to make even, let's say, if you wanted to invest in a company, even take 1% share, you had to go to 15 different government departments to take NOC, from here to here, provincial, federal. So it became very difficult, almost impossible to promote investment. So I had to do this to prepare new policies of investment whereby we could encourage investors and reduce the need for all of those restrictions and the NOCs from 15 departments. That was the second part. And then what I did was that when we created good policies supporting the investment, we created Board of Investment. Then I got the Pakistan's investment policies prepared in 13 different languages, so that we can tell about Pakistan not only to people who know English, but to the French, to the Italians, to the Germans, to the Japanese, to the Chinese, to the Russian, to the Arabics. So in 13 languages, I got Pakistan's investment policies prepared in these languages and distributed them. I sent it to our embassies in these countries to distribute it so that they come to know, and Pakistan is marketed as an attractive destination for investment.
Shah Sahib, you established so many, proposed to establish so many projects. What was the special criteria and need for establishing the Keti Bunder?
Yes, the need for Keti Bunder arose because when you analyze Pakistan's development problems and its potentials, then you realize that Pakistan has two major handicaps, two major obstacles in order to develop at a fast rate. Because Pakistan is a very large country and its population is also growing at 2.5%. Therefore, you have to have 6 to 7% rate of growth, or even more, but minimum 6 to 7%. If you want that people of Pakistan should get more jobs, there should be prosperity, and we reduce poverty and unemployment. But if we don't do that, then poverty and unemployment in Pakistan will continue to increase. What were the two major obstacles? The two major obstacles were that Pakistan was having a very expensive energy policy based on imported fuel, oil and gas imported from outside, and preparing power projects on that, which was very expensive. And therefore, Pakistan, electricity or power or energy is a major component in any industry or manufacturing. It's also important for people's life in homes, hospitals, schools, and day-to-day life. But if it is very expensive electricity, then which means you are reducing the pace of development. People will find it very difficult. Households, schools, colleges, industries, manufacturing. So you have to provide cheap energy. Only then your country can prosper, because your exports will then rise. You can be competitive in world markets, and also in households and in in other commercial and social activities. So one, you have to have cheap energy, and two, second was that it's a large country. Pakistan, 25 crores people, and it has only two small ports, Karachi and Qasim port. Small ports because in these ports you cannot bring large ships above 65,000 deadweight tonnage, and that's a very small thing. These days in the world, the countries have ports, not one or two, but many, which can accommodate ships of 200,000 and above deadweight tonnage. Now we have a large country, but with small little ports, which means you have to have a port which is large enough to accommodate ships of 200,000 deadweight tonnage or more, so that your goods, your trade, your import and export can accelerate very fast, and your development pace can also increase. So these were the two bottlenecks. When I became head of the Board of Investment, my job was to analyze the Pakistan's development potential and what are the handicaps in realizing that potential. And I saw that Pakistan, if it grows at only 3% or 2% or 4%, then Pakistan will only increase its problems of poverty and unemployment and social and economic tensions. So you have to increase your pace of development to 6, 7 or 8%. But you cannot have 7 or 8% if you don't have cheap energy and if you don't have a major deep water port. This is why it became very important to develop this Keti Bunder port, because it provided Pakistan to remove that bottleneck. It was a deep water port which was able to have a capacity to receive large ships of 200,000 deadweight tonnage, which means your activity, your trade, investment, import, export can go on fast track. You're not losing time, and therefore you come into the mainstream of the development activities. This is why it was important to create a big port. Then we will talk about why Keti Bunder and not any other port.
Viewers, let's meet after the break. Welcome back. Shah Sahab, there were so many projects you identified. There were so many. But what was the special thing with the Keti Bunder?
You see, Morai Sahab, when I first explained that Pakistan needs a deep water, deep sea port, and it needs a cheap energy, two things. Now, when I was looking at, Pakistan should have a deep sea port, which have a capacity to have 200,000 deadweight tonnage and above. So I had a survey done of the coast of Pakistan, Balochistan and Sindh. And we identified that there are 8 locations where a port can be properly established. 4 in Balochistan and 4 in Sindh. In Balochistan, we identified Pasni, Gawadar, Ormada and Gadani as 4 locations where ports can be constructed. And in Sindh, we identified 4 locations: Karachi, Qasim, Keti Bunder, Shah Bunder. So these are 8 locations where port can be established to remove that bottleneck that Pakistan's development was facing. Then we said, all right, out of 8 locations, how do we select the best? Now, then you come down to the important features of a port. What are the important features of a port? First, it must be a port which can accommodate large ships, as we talked about, not small little boats, but large ships, 200,000 tons and above. That was the first criteria. Second, when you construct a port, you need infrastructure. You are an engineer. You know, how do you construct? You must have material available. You must have some connection, road, rail, where you can bring the material and you can have skilled manpower, etc., machinery to construct the port. So that's the second criteria, that infrastructure for construction of a port should be there. All right. Now supposing you construct a port and the infrastructure is there. A big ship comes. It brings those 200,000 tons of cargo. Now, supposing I do it in Pasli or Gawadar, for instance. The town of Pasni is maybe few thousand. Gawadar also in those days, even now it's few thousand. Now, 200,000 tons, and not one ship. In a year, there would be 12 to 15 million tons of cargo coming in order for the port to break even. Now where do I take the cargo? Those few thousand people cannot eat all those things. Next town is far away, Quetta or Khuzdar or Lahore, Karachi, even further. So which means the third thing is, and how do you take this? Supposing you bring this goods to Pasni or to Gwadar. Now from Gwadar, how do you take it? 700 miles? It's a long distance, cost of freight increases, time is wasted. So the third thing is, one, you must have a port where 200,000 tons cargo ships can come. Two, it should have infrastructure for construction of port. Three, the port should be connected by road or railway so that from port area you can carry it to the market where the goods will be consumed. Three. Four, the market should be near. If it is 700 miles away from your port, what is the point of constructing the port there? Why do you want to spend money when there is no market to consume the goods? So the market should be near, right? And five, there should be road, rail, electricity available in order that these things can be consumed. Now when electricity, water supply, these things are very essential in order. If there is the port and there
road
is
connection is there, national highway is there, motorway is there, railway line is there.
So when I compared these 6 conditions, where there can be a deep water port, where material for construction is available, where the logistics are there, where market is very close, where water, electricity, road connection can be, all of those things when I compared, that the location which has all these things, and most important, where you can construct the port in shortest possible time at lowest cost. You don't want to spend money unnecessarily. You want to reduce the cost and still achieve the goods. So these 6 conditions, I applied to all the 8 locations. The location which came out where you can construct the port with all the infrastructure, facilities, market, and at the shortest possible time and at the lowest cost was nothing else but Keti Bunder. So it was on merit that Keti Bunder was selected after very objective criteria in compared to all other ports.
Now what are the components of Keti Bunder?
Okay, now Keti Bunder is not a single project. When we talk of Keti Bunder, the Keti Bunder is not one single project. Keti Bunder is a combination of 8 projects. And I want you viewers to realize this, what I'm saying. Keti Bunder is a combination of 8 projects. It is not just one project. So when we talk of Keti Bunder, the way I had designed this project, it had 8 components. Why 8 components? Because as I said, what were the Pakistan's first 2 major obstacles? One, Pakistan needed cheap energy and Pakistan needed a deep water port. In Keti Bunder project, I combined the 2. How did I combine the 2? Because I also invited people. I went to many countries. I collected the data, technical and commercial data for the port and also for setting up power projects on Tharkol. So with the technical data and with the commercial data, I had investment conferences and I spoke to the audiences, bankers, senior executives of companies and other funds to attract them to come to Pakistan and invest in Keti Bunder project and in Tharkol energy. I went, in fact, I I remember, to many cities. I went to address investors and bankers and these executives in London conference, in New York, in Sydney, Australia, in Tokyo, in Seoul, in South Korea, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, trying to attract people to come to Pakistan and marketing these other projects also, but these were my largest ones, Keti Bunder and Tharkol, and so finally they came. So, as I said, there are 8 components. The reason of 8 components is that I was combining in one big project how to solve Pakistan's both problems, how to provide cheap energy to Pakistan, and how to give Pakistan a deep water port, all through one project. Therefore, these 8 components came. Now, what were the components? 8 components. Now, first, because of Tharkol power project, we were constructing 5,200 megawatts. 1,300 megawatts, 4 powerhouses, each of 1,300 megawatts, so 5,200 megawatts. In fact, it was so much that we received a formal query from India that you are producing so much power from Tharkol, our Rajasthan needs electricity. Is Pakistan interested in exporting energy to Rajasthan? This was India requested us that they are willing to purchase from electricity from Pakistan. So, first component was this: to mine coal from thermines, crush it, powder it, and bring it to Islam Court, where the second component was started. Second component was a new railway line coming from Islam Court, starting from Islam Court through Badin and coming to Keti Bunder, where the power projects were. Now, the interesting thing is that when you crush the coal, Tharkol especially, when you crush it and when you powder it, it releases water, and there is 30% water content in Tharkol. Now, this water can be used for drinking purposes and also for cultivation. I have tasted this myself in Australia and Sydney. Went to a mine where they crushed it, powdered it, and the water that came, they treated it with chemicals, filtered it, and they gave me 1 glass to drink, and they drank themselves perfectly fine. So the advantage was that you were creating a source of water which was badly needed for people in Thar. So the first component was, yes, creating a powdered coal to starting a new railway line from Islam Court to Keti Bunder. And now we'll talk about the others when we move into the third section.
Let's go for the break. Welcome back. Shah Sahab, you were telling us the components of Keti Bunder project. You have told us 2, 6, I think some more are also remaining.
Yes, as I said, there are 8 components. I explained about 2. First was, yes, crushing the coal, powdering it, creating water for cultivation. Second was, a new railway line was being constructed from Islam Court via Badin to Keti Bunder. That was the second component. Third was, at Keti Bunder, when this coal came, there were going to be 4 major powerhouses, totally producing 5,200 megawatts of power. That was the third component. Fourth component was that we were building a deep sea port where the ships of capacity of 200,000, 2 lakh tons deadweight, tonnage and above, can be accommodated. That was the fourth component. Fifth component was, it's very interesting, that when so much power is available at one place and a deep water port is available also at the same place, why not set up a big industrial house, industrial center? This is a natural thing. So then I went to other countries to talk to chambers of commerce in Japan, in Korea, also in Singapore, to invite them that some companies which were not competitive in those countries to relocate here. And we said, this is a
Yes, many American companies have relocated, they relocated
so we said,
there.
fine, we are creating this special industrial zone with facilities, with incentives, and they gave us in writing consent that, okay, about 150 companies had given consent, they had written to us that, okay, we will relocate over there. So the fifth component was to create special industrial zone. And the foreign companies were setting it up over there, okay? The sixth component was even more interesting. When the chief executives of these companies was coming here and setting up this, are the big investors who were investing in 5,200 megawatt power project at Keti Bunder, and in the deep sea port also at Keti Bunder, and these in industries also. They said, Shah Sahab, why should we land at Karachi and then drive or take a helicopter? We are going to construct an international airport at Keti Bunder. We will fly from Singapore or from Dubai or from wherever. Instead of landing at Karachi airport, we will land straight away
To Keti Bunder.
at Keti Bunder. Spend the day looking up at our investment, whether it is industry, it is a powerhouse, or the working of the deep sea port. And in the evening, we can fly out. Why waste time? So this was another component which was coming up. Sixth component was to set up an international air, and the people actually started, they engaged architects to design an international airport at Keti Bunder. The seventh was, then we calculated how many jobs will be created with all these things. Special industrial zone, powerhouses, railway line coming up, major port house. And we calculated that 300,000 jobs will be produced by this, our project. See? Now, if you say that one person who has a job has a family of, say, about 5, which means we are creating a city, a town of 15 lakh people. So there was a housing project and creating a new city of 15 lakh people. Now, these are the major components of this project. You try and imagine, people should understand how big this project was and how important it was for Pakistan, because it was solving both the problems of Pakistan. It was providing Pakistan cheap energy, and it was providing Pakistan a deep sea port to remove the bottleneck so that it can accelerate the pace of development. It can open up opportunities, job opportunities, business opportunities for people, and it can reduce its unemployment, and the prosperity, the rate of prosperity, the pace of prosperity will become very fast, and then Pakistan could be developing then at 6, 7 or 8%. Now it is stuck up at 3%. The sad part, Morai Sahib, is that this project, with all these benefits for Pakistan, when the government changed, and then from Benazir Sahiba's government went, and I think the Muslim League Nawaz government came, without asking any question, without even wanting to know the components of the project or how good it is for Pakistan or why it has been set up. They just cancelled it. They just cancelled it. Why it is located over here? Where else can you port? Have a look. You can locate a port only when there is a sea.
Sea.
Okay? And we gave this criteria that out of 8 locations on it and the technical and commercial merit, this was the best location, Keti Bunder. And investors were coming. They had set up an office. In fact, the first thing they wanted to do, I remember that they wanted a 4-star, 5-star hotel constructed, and they said, while we are constructing the port and the powerhouses and the railway line, our executives should be living in a place. So this is we construct a 4 or 5-star hotel so that our executives can live there in that hotel and continue with the work. The company was set up, they employed some people, and they were starting this construction. And this is how, the point is, Pakistan's development potential is being damaged repeatedly. I'm giving this example. This was the largest investment project. At that time, initially, it was coming to about $1.8 billion. First investment, okay? Now I'm talking about 30 years ago, okay? At that time, $1 was equivalent to about 35 rupees.
Yeah.
Okay? Today, the dollar is equivalent to about 280, 290 rupees, about 8 times more, which means if it is $1.8 billion at that time, the same project today will cost $15 billion. Now Pakistan has no money, okay? They cancelled a project which today will cost 15 billion if they have the vision and they have the ability. They cancelled this project which was coming, the work was started, the sovereign guarantee of the government of Pakistan was also given. Not a penny from budget, neither provincial nor federal. All investment coming from outside on the merit of the project, and it was cancelled. So the result is Pakistan continues to have most expensive energy, and the people can know that who pay electricity bills, they know this. This electricity was coming at about 2 rupees 40 paisa. Now people are paying 20, 30 rupees for
10 times more,
even
more than
more.
10 times.
Okay? And that handicap that Pakistan doesn't have a deep sea port, even today it continues. So this handicap, Pakistan's handicap, which we were solving, Pakistan would have benefited, Syed would have benefited, of course, because it's located. But in this, our parochial way of looking at cancelling the national project, not realizing what damage we are doing to the national interest. Unfortunately, that has been a feature, a common feature with our politics. And this is why Pakistan's potential has remained unutilized.
That's right, Shah Sahab, but this is 30 years back, story of 30 years back. So many governments have came, and not many people who claim they are leaders of Pakistan. And nobody has paid any attention to this very important project.
But you're right. It's a long time, and so many governments have come. Everybody knows that this is a major a national project, because the problems and the bottlenecks that this project was solving, those bottlenecks remain even today. So why have so many governments not addressed this? I think this question should be asked from the heads of government, both federal and provincial. If you people talk about that you really want to serve,
it's a dream. It's a dream to think of accountability in this country.
And there should be. There's people who have cancelled this national project and damaged. They have no explanation why there's no reason, because they didn't even ask. They did not say, this is the reason we are cancelling, just cancelled.
Yeah, my God.
Out of, such pettiness. This is how Pakistan has, suffered. Its great potential is being damaged because the kind of this parochial and pettiness that we show in our governance.
Thank you, Shah Sahab. Goodbye, viewers.